Have we got a pod for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen? We've got all the Viking stuff to cover. Farewell to Kirk. A lot of Jefferson rumors coming around again, pissing me right off. A lot of other free agent signings as well. And then probably yet again, taking another look at what the QB position might be looking like. Big Wolves win last night against the Clippers. Some people went to bed, some didn't. And
You're
we've
welcome.
got we've got the players
Yeah.
this week as well, and maybe some other random shit along the way. So weirdly popped up to be a very big week of sports, honestly. So we've kind of been floating around, kicking the tires on a lot of the same old shit. But this week, I feel like we do have some meat and potatoes for you. But we've got other issues that we got to get out of the way starting off.
Hey, where do you guys rank like this time of year in like the sports world? Because I feel like March is a pretty damn good month.
One of the
With
best.
everything going on, even because even NFL, like NFL free agency we'll get to that, is wild, but you got basketball coming down the stretch, baseball's about to open up, you got March Madness, players this weekend you mentioned, and then we'll be getting into majors after that, and it's a pretty good sports month, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's
100%.
definitely up there. I almost think April's even better, just because of
WrestleMania.
technically. Well, hey, that's not nothing, but technically you can count the tournament. I know everybody says March Madness, but like the Final Four is always in
Yeah,
April, and then
yeah, you're right.
Masters, and then playoffs for NBA start,
Playoffs.
and we know Puck they start playoffs too, and MLB starts up. So there's a lot of shit in April kind of being a
Yeah,
weird month. And then I think the draft is also in April, isn't it? Or
yeah.
is
Yeah, the
that,
No, is it?
23rd.
I feel like it's just into
Yeah,
April.
yeah. Yep,
Yeah, it is.
it's like the last Thursday of the month. It's like the Thanksgiving for April.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. Let's keep it in April. I feel like, did they do it in May one year? Maybe that had something to do with COVID. I don't know. I could be wrong about that,
Who
but
knows?
typically it is in April.
Mhm.
So, but March full of the same stuff, right? I mean, players is probably the fifth biggest tournament of the year. And then we said Final Four, but like the best part of the tournament is the first like weekend, Thursday through
Yeah,
Oh,
first
Sunday,
right.
first 4 days. Yep.
when you actually feel like you have a chance to win your pool until Thursday at 2:30 in the afternoon or way sooner. I've had mine like literally destroyed within the first like wave of four games where I had
Yeah.
like an Elite Eight
Get like
team
a two seed losing or something like
just
that.
dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I think I
mean,
like Georgetown one year, like in the finals, if not winning it, and they lost to the 15 seed, like one of the
Yeah.
first four games of the day.
Yeah,
yeah,
Missouri comes to mind, I believe. I think they might have been an early one.
I had that fuck
Yeah.
Aaron Kraft, if you remember that dude for Ohio State, who was like the bulldog little white point guard who was there for 11 years before even COVID rules and extra years and transfer portals. And I'm like, this guy is like, he's one of the best college like players. He's perfect for college, and I don't even think he could play in the G League. So I'm like, this guy ain't going out like that. First round loss, had him in like the Final Four, something like that, and this was by like 1 o'clock on Thursday. I'm like, well, I'm completely fucked. So that was fun. But either way, we'll do another bracket selection show.
Oh
Probably a
yeah.
week or two whenever that comes out. I guess it would be
It's got to be next
Selection
week.
Sundays this Sunday. Yeah.
next
Yep.
week. Yeah, that's right. Shit. Yeah, I guess conference tournaments have been going on. So the Gophers probably played today. I don't even really realize it, but whatever.
Tomorrow, I believe.
Is
Tomorrow
it
night
tomorrow?
against Michigan State.
I popped in for a couple games and they immediately started doing shitty. So I'm gonna just set them free and
Yeah.
probably observe at a distance. Although there's no T Wolves tomorrow, so I'll probably pop
You're
in
gonna
and just seal their fate, put the nail in the
you're
coffin, and let them be
even if
done.
you even if you set them free, dude, it doesn't really matter over there.
You throwing cold water on a potential NIT
Oh.
powerhouse? I mean, that could be a banner.
Uh yeah, sure could.
They say we don't win
Could be.
championships around here, but hey, our rafters are littered at Williams Arena with NIT banners from old Tubbs and the boys. Um,
NIT second round.
Yeah, hey, it all counts the same postseason. Before we get into the Vikes stuff, we got to just take a couple more shots at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Mm.
It's
Hmm.
probably an official boycott now at this point. Went through the same dog and pony show we did a couple weeks ago with these Hardwood Classic jerseys. Placed a couple orders, even lasted a day longer than the last time. Isn't that
It
special?
did.
Stayed
Yeah.
in, stayed eligible for an extra day. Placed them on. I think it was Friday again, wasn't it? When we
It was
placed
it was
them.
the same day we did the pod, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it
did
was
a Friday
Friday.
one.
Yeah. And then I think I got or we both got, or we got cancellation emails that they same shit couldn't be fulfilled on Sunday,
Sunday
and
afternoon.
there was like plenty in stock. So says their fucking website, and
Disgrace.
I don't know what they're trying to pull, but I'm not going to be fucking with Dick's Sporting Goods probably ever again.
Probably run by Sirs, I would have to say.
I bet they sell Sirs apparel.
I would imagine that Scott Foster's probably the GM of that fucking place.
If you're an up and coming sir, they could probably fit you with all the gear you need to look like a piece of shit.
They
So
got tailors.
who knows what they fucking got with these sirs, how they operate. So it's again looking like an Easter Sunday siege on the team store. Not many other chances to get the Hardwood Classic, so that's maybe I don't even know. Do we even want to stay for the game? I just kind of want to get in there and clean them out, and then I guess we can watch the game. But yeah, dude, it's just like 2024. Your website, you can't even fucking like fulfill orders in this day and age. Like
Right.
I don't know how long you are for the future, but either way, just wanted to take a jab at him while I got him. Probably chop this up, pass it all over. I'll throw this over LinkedIn. See if we can get a
Oh,
little professionalism going on. All that fucking bullshit. Nah. I don't know. I hate LinkedIn. Kirk Cousins, man, he's gone. Can you believe it?
he's gone.
R.I.P.
Yep.
I think everybody kind of can. And I don't know that anybody saw that offer being in play.
No.
Although like these NFL contracts, it's not really what they report. You kind of have to be like, all right, well, what's guaranteed? Because
What's the base?
has anyone like ever made it to the end of a contract in the NFL? I swear they either like renegotiate or just get their ass cut at some point. So what was it like 2 for 90, and then there's like a $10 million roster bonus or something in terms of
Yeah, it's
guarantees.
something like that. And then they'll cut him. So
At
I
which
don't know.
point, yeah, he'll be 38, I think. Doesn't he turn
Right.
36 like before the season starts?
He might. Yeah, I'm not positive.
If he's
I
not
thought I was
already.
gonna say. I thought he was already 36.
So he could be 37 before the season starts. Look that up quick while I got
There's a
Google going on here, but
there's a lot of I mean,
turns
shout
30.
out to Wolves Twitter because what'd you say?
I was gonna say he turns 36 in August, so basically
Oh,
right before
okay.
the
So he
season.
is 35.
So
Um, I said shout out to Wolves Twitter because Wolves Twitter is awesome, which is funny
yes.
because Vikings Twitter is the polar opposite.
Yeah, it
And
sucks. Really does suck.
I've come across people on there, and I've come across people, just like in my everyday life, that are just like, oh, Vikes, Kirk's gone, they're rebuilding. I'm like, dude, they've pretty much sucked for the past 6 years since he was here. Let's not try to like sugarcoat it here. Like we were better record wise before he got here. And so other than the one season with Donna Hell, but I just don't understand like it's like, oh, you couldn't resign Kirk. You wouldn't have been able to make all these additional moves if you resign Kirk. Like you're going to be playing this. It's
Would've
going to
been
be
stuck.
the same show over and over and over again. And I, for one, I think this is everything that's happening right now. I'm like glued to it. I think the whole thing's just fascinating to see because we have never been in this situation. I'm really excited to see what they do with that position going forward. I think the other thing is Darnold. They signed Sam Darnold, and anybody who doesn't pay attention is like, that's who we got. That's our quarterback. It's like, dog, you need to look up what bridge quarterback means because He's here as insurance. That's it.
I was gonna say, what does it mean? Because I feel like people differ on that.
Yeah,
Bridge
they
meaning
do.
like
They do.
he's bridging us to the next guy, or
He's
to me, the signing of him is like, here's a guy we have that can play the position if
Mhm.
everything else falls through.
Correct.
It's not like, hey,
That's-
Draft wise, yeah.
we got our guy. Let's fucking go address all the other positions. It's like we needed a body that
Right.
potentially
He's somebody
could,
on the roster. Yeah.
right. Let's get somebody at least if again the whole thing goes to shit, we got somebody that can play the position. And
Right.
and if it is a rookie that we draft, which seems like that's the likely scenario, like could he start week one if the guy's not ready yet? He can keep the seat
Yep.
warm for a couple weeks. Although I would just be like, throw the fucking kid in there. What do I care? And I think
Yep.
the Vikes Twitter and a lot of Vikings fans, everyone is just scared to fucking death of like a rebuild. And even Quezzy and KOC, I think when they came in to the organization, they used the phrase like competitive rebuild. That's what they've been trying to do all this time. And that 13-4 season, and you're like, oh, what do you mean rebuild? And it's like, well, that was a pretty like outlier result type of season, not losing one score game at all until of course playoffs. But
right. And this is kind of like it's kind of weird to say because this is going to be their third year, Quezzy and KOC, but it almost feels like a first year because I think they finally got all of the garbage like out the door. They had so many like older players, and the first year they pretty much ran it back. Last year, you saw a couple guys go, as we discussed last year, Kendricks, Thielen, so on and so forth. And now like pretty much everybody that was, an older veteran player on the team, big contracts, is gone. So it's a fresh start. I'm for one looking forward to it. I like what they're doing.
I think
Yeah.
JJ actually is the fifth most seniority on the team right now. There's like 5 other players that are been here longer than him, but Jetta is number 6 for seniority on the team right now.
Exactly.
Just weird.
Interesting.
And then the other thing too, the first 2 years with Questi and stuff, he had like 10 million in cap space to work with each season, and this year actually had money to go out and get some guys and do his thing. Hence Questi Cook all over
Yeah.
Twitter.
right, he was cooking. He went shopping.
He was
the other
yeah.
day. And that definitely is made possible by not having however much money tied up in Kirk. So I think we still
100%.
do have a lot of dead cap money this year.
Mhm.
Number 1 in the league.
And then next year it's like you thought he was cooking the other day. Wait till next season. It sounds like we could have as much as like 120 million in cap. Although
There's 100. I've seen like 120 to 150. I've been seeing some reports depending on
I
how
think
everything breaks down.
some people may factor in a possible Jefferson because he's going to have to get re-signed and be
He'll
part,
be
of,
part
that.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 30. That's probably where the difference would be. Although he's apparently turning down 30 million a year, according to Schefter. But we'll get to him in a second. Let's keep wrapping up on Kirk. But yeah, you said you're not like too devastated by this. Like I was kind of like, if we brought him back, hey, that's fine, whatever. The NFC isn't the strongest as we've been over the last year and a half talking about this. But this is the second time that a team is just like, Kirk, yeah, just we're good. You can walk. That's fine.
Right.
And I feel like that says a lot. And we've analyzed Kirk all the duration of this podcast, really every week. And he's a very good quarterback. He's probably like 8th best in the league, maybe. And yeah, he was playing his best right before the injury, which sucks. But that's part of it too. Like what does he return like health wise? I feel like he'll probably be close to what he is. It's not like he's out running around or anything. He's pretty much a statue. And it's all about kind of where your organization is. Atlanta has just taken 3 first-round picks on offense in the top 10. And they're probably like, all right, if nothing else, let's see if these guys are like busts or not, or like, do we need to commit money to these guys going forward? Because we can't know that with fucking Taylor Heineke back here. Or
Yeah, they were playing a college like quarterback style system playing two quarterbacks, and they won 7 games last year playing that bullshit. So like Kirk
Right.
should improve them, in theory, but it's kind of what we thought here too. But if you really look back on it, what's like the average Kirk season here? Like 9-7, won one playoff game. Like, and I'm not coming
Yeah.
on here to hate on Kirk. I like Kirk also, but at some point you have to realize we were never going to pay him that much money. And I'm glad that they set their amount and they said, we're not going over this. So if
Yeah.
you want to walk, walk. That's just business.
Right. I give him credit for that, Quezzy. And I don't know if KOC was in agreement on that, but I mean, ultimately, we saw how the results took place, and he's gone. One thing I found interesting was, isn't it kind of funny? All the praise I see for the Falcons signing Kirk. I don't remember hearing that when we signed him at all. I felt like we were just getting shit thrown in our faces
Never.
about overpaying and what are they doing? This guy's not going to get you to the next level, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, oh, Atlanta, what a great acquisition. This is going to be great for your organization. It's like,
That's
man,
life here.
I know like our ears are just trained for that shit because across all our teams, we just get disrespected and just shit on by the lazy dipshit national media. But I found that very obvious. Like the whole narrative of him going to Atlanta versus when we initially signed him, completely different
Yeah. I didn't
and
even think of that.
worth pointing out. But I'm with you. I'm kind of like, you know what? It was fun. I guess it was worth a try when we signed him. And everyone's just afraid of bottoming out. And it's the fear of the unknown with the rookie quarterbacks. And that's the only path. You've got to hit on one
It
of these
is.
guys. You can't really sign for, like if there's a free agent quarterback, he's a free agent because he's not good enough, right? Like he's there to either like get a team out of the cellar because they've just had it for so long where they're like, we'll just take an upgrade and then see how that goes. But Kirk ain't winning anybody any Super Bowls, man. Like he's gonna be probably having those guys win their shitty division. Good for you. And let's see you in the playoffs. And I mean, it would really watch him just go like on a deep run with the Falcons. That would be the one thing that would just chap my ass. But I would have been cool if we brought him back too. I wasn't really like too strong either way.
Yeah, it was weird, right? I feel like we probably all were of that mindset.
Yeah, it's
That-
like let Kirk decide, right? And in the end, it's
Yeah.
like, well, he said money wasn't everything, but well, it took the money, so
Yeah.
it just
Looking at
just
hindsight
saying.
too, I think it's better that he is left now. Now that I can see what we've actually got to go out and sign and what our team looks like right now, I feel a lot better that he is gone now and we don't have that contract on our salary right now.
Yeah, I think so. As a older like a 40 million tied up in that guy when you're kind of just treading water essentially, right? We're not going to be better than the Niners or probably even the Lions or some of those teams in the NFC
No,
East.
now with the NFC being kind of the way it is, how much I keep hearing like, oh, they're gonna bottom out and oh, this is gonna be brutal or whatever. And it's like you just lost Kirk, right? And I know you need a quarterback. That's the cog that makes everything run, right? But I look at the rest, I'm like, is there a better situation for a rookie quarterback to come into than jumping into the Vikings offense? You got Jefferson, Addison,
No.
Hawkinson, good line. They signed Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, like he's on the up and up. Like your offensive is already pretty good. Like, and you look at like last year, right? Bryce Young gets drafted by the Panthers. Who do they have? Adam Thielen,
Hayden Hurst,
like
what's
old
up?
ass. Right, right. Caught one TD the first week of the year, and we called it.
Heard it here
Um,
first. Never again.
But like, there's no that's not usually a situation that a rookie quarterback jumps into. And the defense was improving. I like these guys. The more I look into the guys they signed, um, they still have Flores, so I'm sure that he has a say in who they're going out and getting on that defense.
Yeah.
So who's to say that they're not still in the mix for the division or whatever? It just depends on what they get at that QB position.
Right.
Yeah, I think when we found out Kirk was leaving, Vegas threw out some quick odds for NFC North. Then I think Swine had plus 350 to win it. The Lions were obviously the favorite. Bears were like 400, and I think Vikes were at 550 without a quarterback, which isn't that far behind for not having a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's in
For a
place
team,
pretty much. But yeah, we're just missing the most important position in sports. And or what does that say about Sam Darnold? They don't like they're not liking him at the helm.
let Sam cook.
Let him
Hey, I
cook.
mean, when I can't remember for sure if Brock Purdy got hurt last year, but I feel like, and that could be a product of that system, but I'm like, didn't Darnold like, do you think any Niners fans were just like, oh shit, Purdy's out? They were just like, we'll just throw in Darnold and just keep going.
It's
Like,
in,
Just keep
yeah.
when
coasting.
he has all the weapons and a offensive minded, quarterback minded coach, which is
Mhm.
a similar style to what we have. So we'll
Another thing I
see.
saw too this year is we got Josh McCown as our QB coach that we hired. I didn't see that
Oh, he
until
can
yesterday.
and he can hoop.
So what else do you guys need?
Yeah, it's all there for you. Assuming then the next domino would be to re-sign Jefferson, but all the little trolls and reporters coming out of the woodwork proposing some sort of like rumors that we're shopping him or something, and then I saw that was quickly refuted, but then Schefter I saw on like one of their NFL shows today was like, he's turned down 30 million annual like contract value, which would
That was
probably
at the beginning of last year, wasn't it?
right,
I
yeah.
believe so.
So I
Yeah.
don't know, I
So
don't
it
know
wasn't
what,
recent, right?
but it's just
No.
suspicious. Why isn't this done? Like
Hmm.
clearly we're trying to bring him back, and now there's a lot of uncertainty about who's going to throw him the ball. But I feel like, yeah, it could make sense of like, okay, you could get a haul for him for sure,
Hmm.
but do we like, don't you want him here for the next quarterback? Like, that's exactly what your point was, right? Everything's there to
Right.
make that guy succeed. You'll have a quarterback conceivably if we take a rookie on that rookie scale. That's where you pay all these other positions. That's the best time to do so.
Hmm. Yep.
So maybe it's just a thing arguing about money. I feel like just give him what he wants. Unless it's like if he's saying 40 million a year, like I mean, just make him the highest paid receiver ever, which I feel like that's the obvious thing to do. But if he's complaining about like I don't want to be getting the these hospital balls from Josh Dobbs, like I can certainly understand that, but like it's not like we're gonna be throwing a fifth rounder. Like it seems like we're
Right.
taking a QB, like or trading up. I guess the other scenario would be like Justin Fields, which we've kind of offline discussed that proposition of like, well, if you're gonna trade a pick for Fields, just trade for a rookie. Like, why would we go through
Go
this
get your own.
Justin Fields 1 year, prove it,
Right.
and then he's got to get paid the next year? So to me, that doesn't make any sense. That would be another case of like, we're just too afraid to be bad. So let's get Fields and he might get us to 8 and 9. It's like that just fucks you, right? Like, and we should have lost a bunch of these games this year. Like that's really where this is kind of burning us, where, that game against Atlanta, that Josh Dobbs like miracle. Like looking back now, I would have much rather have lost that game.
Yeah. The Raiders game.
Right. If we could have had a couple more losses, like we'd probably be picking top 5 and, we'd be in a better position. We wouldn't have to give up the assets, right? That's another argument that went all season long on X of like tanking versus, there's just this whole presence of Vikings fans on X of like, aren't you a fan? Win at all costs, no matter what. It's like some people are thinking about the long-term better outcomes to set us up for more sustained success instead of
Yeah.
your rah rah go team go. I want to win every game regardless.
They
Like
see what's in front of them. That's it. They don't care about what's down the road.
no, they're a bunch of checkers players is all they are. So now you get to the quarterback piece, right? So we're picking 11th, and Atlanta's ahead of us. They've taken care of that position. How far are we going to trade up? I mean, it seems like the
5 seems to keep being the spot, right? Because the Chargers. Unless you
yeah,
guys want to give us Herbert, I mean, that'd be fine.
I would be Not upset about that.
Don't you think though they I feel like this whole time they knew. They knew that like Kirk was going to get offered more money somewhere. That this isn't like all of a sudden Monday they're like, "Oh shit, now what do we do?" I feel like the plan has been in place. It's just a
There's
matter
been
of
rumors all month about us checking in on other teams and their picks. So
yeah,
they've been working at
there
it.
there's a plan here and I think we just need to what, there's a month or so, like 6 weeks, 5 6 weeks till the draft. You never know, like it could happen draft night, you know. They could be fighting over little things here and there, but at some point something's going to happen. Like I would assume they're going to move up.
Or they take
I would
I
in,
assume
don't
so.
know.
like, they could stay at 11 and take like Penix, I guess, which by all accounts would be a reach.
Yeah.
But if he's good, who gives a shit? But or like McCarthy, it seems like McCarthy's climbing up into the top 10 now, and it's like
Yeah.
that's a pricey little dart throw. I feel like. I mean, not like I'm the quarterback evaluator or anything, but
Yeah, we've done all the research on these guys, so we know who's who.
yeah, none of us watch
We know-
college.
we know
None
their
of us watch
name.
college ball. Yeah.
We know their names, so
Do
that's,
you know what
that's
JJ
pretty
stands
cool.
for? No, we don't.
No, not really.
Justin Jefferson.
But no, I don't want him on my team running my quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm like, yeah, like we'll put our cards on the table. We're not watching a lot of college football. I watch a decent amount, like just sleeping through some of the games. And then like,
Big games.
it's hard not to at least hear about shit because it's just all over TV and things like that. But I think overall, we're just like, let's just get a rookie. We're so scarred by that Ponder experience still that I feel like
Right.
everybody's just doesn't want to try that again. It's like, we're all to the point where I'm speaking, maybe this is inaccurate, but this is where I think all three of us are. And I feel like most Vikings fans should be. I don't give a fuck about winning any division. I don't care if we're 10-7 or whatever. All I care about is taking swings for the like possibility of a franchise quarterback to then start thinking about a bowl, because that's all that matters is a bowl. Just even
That's right.
getting to one. And we've really not been close. I mean, even the Case Keenum year, that was the miracle, and then we lost to Philly, right? That was kind of the last
Yep.
time we came up for air and got even close, even though it's like Case Keenum ain't playing in a bowl, but Nick Foles won it. So
Yeah.
who knows? But that's kind of where I'm at. And the only way to do that is hitting somebody in the draft. And maybe you get this one wrong and it takes a couple more years, but like you just have to. That's the only route I feel like to get us into that like upper echelon. Because if you look around, like Pat Mahomes is probably going to be around for another good 7 to 10 years probably, and you got Burrow and Josh Allen. There's just all sorts of like thoroughbreds that are going to be around for a long time, and you can't be trotting out like Kirk just isn't going to stand up to that. I don't think in a big like playoff, run or whatever. But again, one thing is a lot of those guys are all in the AFC, so it's kind of interesting. But it's
Yeah, you
that's
got to
just
deal
kinda
with Jordan Love over here.
yeah, Jordan Love, the next stud, of course. Go figure. He'll be in 10 straight Pro Bowls or whatever. But
Hey, but we got your running back, so
yeah,
they are
That
all
sounded like
sorts
it
of
was
butthurt
pretty.
about that too.
Well, it seems like that was ugly. Like there was
Yeah.
some hurt feelings in that negotiation where they're like, take a pay cut, or take a 50% pay cut, I think is reported.
Yep.
And he's, I don't know what they came back with or whatever, pretty much said fuck off. And then, they cut him, but then it's like, then we spend that money on Josh Jacobs, who is he even better? Like he's younger, but like,
Well, you know my feelings about Josh Jacobs.
cares?
So couldn't have gone to a better team as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, that does seem weird. And there's been, I know none of us have any sort of good feelings towards Aaron Rodgers at all, but
No.
there was all sorts of stuff coming out with him and then Bakhtiari and a couple other guys about how stuff was managed over there. And then, and nobody really, I heard this from somebody this week that nobody really cares when you're like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, well, whatever. He's a prick, so we don't care. But then
Mhm.
when one of your boys, when it happens to Aaron Jones, who everybody by all accounts loves, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe these guys are right. Maybe our management is being kind of shitty over here. So I don't know. I love that we got him. I'm glad that we signed a back. I don't know, what is it, 13 or 14 starting running backs switch teams on Monday, which is
Yeah.
just
That's crazy.
absolutely nuts. Like that's just, you want to talk fantasy football, that just changed the entire landscape of that. It's just crazy.
I know. I feel like I need to log into my dynasty sites and see like what handcuffs now that I have, or like where have all these like
Yeah.
these chairs, musical chairs, shuffled to. Went and signed a couple other guys as well. Aaron Jones was a good one. Definite upgrade, I feel like, over Madison. It just assuming like you just need him to be healthy and stay on the field. Um, Brandon Powell, I feel like that was like a nice little underrated contract to bring him back. I thought he was excellent last year when he was called upon. Um, Van Ginkel, we mentioned Darnold, and then Blake Cashman, who I had no idea was from Minnesota. And then Jonathan Grenard, basically him and Daniil swapped spots. So I think we're just
Mhm.
getting a guy for a little bit cheaper,
Mhm.
who had similar production. And then Van Ginkel coming from Miami. Um, seems like it's probably a Flores guy. So clear
Yeah,
direction to try to address the defensive side of the ball.
the things I had on them, it looks like Grenard like kind of really started to take off this past year. Had 12 and a half sacks. He had only had, looks like 1-8. So he popped up a little bit in 2021, and then it looks like he was probably hurt in 2022, only played 8 games. So he really kind of came alive, it looks like. And then Van Ginkel, from everything I've heard about him, is he just doesn't come off the field, that's awesome. Like you have a guy who can just play all the time. And Cashman, I think he was another guy who kind of took off this past year, started a lot of games. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the one that they were saying was like running the defense
Mm.
in Houston, the green dot and all that. So yeah, by all accounts, it looks like, and some pretty good deals too. Um, Nothing too crazy for these guys. I know Grenard got a little bit more money, but the other two were just like 2 years, 20 mil. It's kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of some, it's some prove it deals, right? We talked about it with the Wolves. Like I like when we do that. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah, draft is going to be huge though, right? Like that's everything. Who is going to be hopefully playing in front of Sam Darnold? And
Right.
it was just kind of clowning too to see there's still a lot of Sam Darnold stockholders out there that are still like have been keeping the faith all this time, that they think he's like a good
Good for
player,
you.
not worth giving
The
up on.
truthers out there. Yep.
It's like, okay, I don't know. Like, is he better than Zach Wilson? Like, probably, but what does that say? Like,
Doesn't
Both a
take
couple of
much.
Jets.
I mean, Sam Darnold was he on Carolina and then the
Yeah.
Niner? Like, so he's already bounced around to his fourth team, right? Um, and somebody still has some faith in him. Like 10 million, I guess that's what it was reported. And then I see it's like worth up to 10 million. So I don't even
Yeah.
know what it really is. I can't like, that was my thought right away, was like, first of all, shocking, like that he's on our team. That's just kind of like not exactly who you want to associate with. But and the money, I'm like, why are we like quickly going after this dude?
They
But
they
I'm
always
sure
are.
it's not 10 million in the
Yeah,
end.
they're always like reporting like the full amount. Because it's the same with Aaron Jones. It said 1 year, 7 million, and that's it. It just matters what the base salary is. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
what I heard
bonuses and stuff
was
like that.
that comes from the agent. They are the one that leaks it, so that's the first thing they hear. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the rest of the contract say? Okay, it's incentives, play this many games. It's like, okay, it's actually, half of that, and you can earn up to, because whatever they put in the contract of Sam Darnold, I'm sure there's a games played or game started clause, which
Oh yeah, all kinds of guts in it.
hopefully he doesn't get.
But it's I also see too that backup quarterback's average is like 8.75 or something like that a year. So it's
Oh,
not
really?
bad,
Okay.
bad at all. So
Well, when
it's
you
right on
factor
pace
in,
with everything.
And the cap went up too.
what's the top
Yep.
guys making? Probably 50. So it's like,
Yeah,
you-
for a
you s-
backup, it's right on par where it should be. And we
see
needed
the-
somebody, and there's
Yeah.
not a lot of people out there. So if it's that or Nate
Yeah.
Mullins, like no thanks. Or
yeah.
Nick, I don't remember his name. He's that trash.
You didn't like the Mullins experience?
Hated it.
Hated it? Yeah, it was tough. We had all these backups come through here at the end, and we were just like, yeah, we're good. Is Jaron Hall, like, what's his status? Just
Still on the
Doesn't
squad.
matter.
still hanging
Doesn't
around?
matter.
Oh, man. So, yeah, the draft, it's going to be that and the Jefferson thing. Like, and even the Cousins piece. Like, he was the first real domino. I was seeing a lot of that on ESPN recently of like, we all got to wait to see what Kirk does before anything else can happen. And like you said, Jake, there's a plan here probably. Like, you know, they probably knew he was going to be gone because it didn't take long before it was like, hey, he's on the Falcons. You know, like on that
Yeah.
run day, like he was there, and we probably were like, hey, we're gonna. Hopefully, you know, our offer will be like for him to take a team friendly deal. We do not expect him to do that, as he's going to draw a lot of interest. So we made the effort, but we kind of know where this is heading. And the Cousins, Jefferson, and like now trading for a quarterback, like we've been really controlling a lot of the big like off-season news, I feel like. So we've got breaking news into the pod. Jake, what are you seeing on the internet?
I'm seeing Harrison Smith restructures deal to play one more year in Minnesota. Taking
How
a pay
about
cut.
it? How about it?
No
13th
details.
season.
Look at
So
taking
his
a
new
pay
deal is gonna
cut.
be $9 million this year. He'll be taking.
Okay.
Nice. I like it. Taking a
Probably-
pay cut to help out the team, knowing that you're not quite what you were. God, who can imagine doing something like that?
He's a believer in Darnold. He's a truther. It is cool to just have a guy like just play his whole career with the Vikes, right? This is like a
Especially
Yeah.
as tight as he is too.
yeah, Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame. I feel like should be first ballot. Like, you know, I always
Oh, 100%.
every so often during the NFL season, there's that guy on X who will throw up the side by side stats of him and Palomalu, and like it's actually like Harrison Smith. It's basically even, or he's
Yeah.
even a little better statistically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good to have him around, I guess. I mean, we've got a lot of safeties. Hopefully, Lewis Seen can become one of them. But
Not holding my breath.
yeah, he'll usher in the new era with this whoever we bring in at quarterback. And maybe he, you know, it's NFL. It's like, dude, get your money. I'm always, you know, proponent for these dudes getting paid. But I feel like maybe he was just like, let's do the farewell season. I mean,
Yeah,
which he
farewell
just,
tour.
For sure.
he's earned for sure. So that's
Yeah.
cool to have him back. And then I guess just to wrap up Vikes, I don't know if we made this clear. Like, we are not in the camp of Trey Jefferson, right? Like, I feel like
No.
we will sign him. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors in these negotiations or whatever, but I feel like they'll get that done. And it may be like right after the draft, like that might tell you all you need to know, like depending on what we do with that position, the quarterback position. But
He's not being left in the dark. That was where I was going with that other thing. Like, they know what they're doing. He knows what's going on also. They're not, if they're going to pay somebody that much, they're keeping him in the loop of what's going on with the quarterback.
Oh, yeah, he's
Right.
sitting at the table with them with all
Yeah.
these decisions.
Right.
good.
And quit and wouldn't you know it? I see like in
Wouldn't you know
NBA all
it?
the time. It's like let's drive Anthony Edwards to LA or New York. You never see
I
that shit in
know.
the NFL. And now all of a sudden the last couple of days it's like, oh, Jefferson when Darnold throws him the ball, and it's just any gif you can find that's, you know, somebody crying or something. It's
They're
like,
trying to
dude,
get him. You know where I've
get
seen him.
outta
They're
here.
trying to get him up to New England. It's like, man, fuck off with all that. He ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Give me a break.
Like, you don't get rid of a guy like that when you're trying to bring in the next franchise quarterback. Like we said, I saw it's been getting circulated around, like the Colin Cowherd first like wise thing he ever said. He was like comparing the Vikings to like a completely furnished apartment waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to move in. So, which is basically what we said. We just didn't compare it like a like complete weirdo, but
Like a perv. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, okay, whatever. All right, that's good for the Vikes. It's probably going to be some Vikes news almost every week, I would think, leading up. If not, us just having to once again put the extinguisher on a bunch of this bullshit that we see all over ESPN. But let's pivot to the T-Wolves coming off of maybe my favorite win of the year last night
Thanks.
at the Clippers. I was a little on delay, so I
man.
wasn't really keeping up with you guys. And by the time I was getting close, I just pulled up my phone anyway. It was a couple minutes before halftime. I basically got caught up at halftime to being live. And I could see your guys' texts of like, I'm going to bed, blah, blah, blah. This is bullshit. That's, and it was, right? Because not only
It
were
was.
we down like 20 something, the way in which we were down was just annoying as fuck. How these guys were just making everything. Daniel Tice knocking a three in. And I feel like the better like Gobert contested a shot, the more certain it was to fall in. Like Zubac
Amir
was making
Coffee.
Zubac was making some eyes closed hook shots. I'm
I
like,
think I compared him to Kareem.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And we started out 1 for 9 from 3, and you're just like, man, what is this team without Carl?
We look like a team that was on its fourth back-to-back since the All-Star break. Like, honestly, it was just like
Yeah.
it just looked clunky and just
Yeah.
brutal to watch in that first quarter.
We just didn't show up, and then that game where we've seen at least once a week out of these Timberwolves, where they show up, try and coast through the game, then they turn it on in the back half.
Yeah.
But this looked even worse last night, where usually I can
Yeah.
suffer and drink some of this coasting and lazy ball. But last night I was not having it, especially with Jaden and Kyle. They were both atrocious in that first half.
And the just late West Coast game where you're just like, you know what? I'm not gonna
It's
let
already
this
9 o'clock.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
let this like ruin my next day and be all tired watching these guys just mail it in. Like that was
I know, and I did that against the Lakers, so I wasn't about to do it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely like we needed Gobert for sure. Like, and you mentioned the back-to-backs. Like this whole schedule coming out of the All-Star break where you think it's supposed to be good, like a long homestand. No, it's not. We've got 3 back-to-backs as part of that. And then we go on the road and have a back-to-back. And once we get done with our road trip, we come home for a back-to-back the second half against fucking Denver, who's skipping the White House ceremony just to prepare for us. So that goes to show you, like, there's the little things in the schedule that are going against us. And even our days off, we have, we don't play till Saturday in Utah. Even that, I'm kind of like, you're going to try to distract us with a couple days in LA, man, fuck this bullshit. You know what I mean? Even our days off are a disadvantage.
Right.
But they rallied, man. And some of it just has to do with like, hey, when you miss every shot, yeah, you're going to eventually those are going to fall and the score is going to get a little closer. Certainly helped having Kawhi go out with back spasms, but forgive us for not shedding a bunch of tears for any other team's injuries.
I know.
Because
You know what?
Nas he turned his ankle immediately and had to come out of the game, and he did return, but
30 seconds later.
it kind of like just he was out of the flow of the game at that point and didn't really contribute much last night. And then even at the end, Gobert goes out, and I haven't heard any reports. It didn't look very bad. He went up to block Zubac and then like crashed on him and like landed on his feet and then it kind of fell down. And then the next possession, like reached up to catch like a pass and like you could see he had
Something just didn't feel right.
like some discomfort. So, but losing him, man, you see that Laker game and that's a bad, matchup to be without Rudy going against AD, but like Nas is not a rebounder. And we would, if Rudy's out for any sort of time, I feel like we need to sign like just a, paging Greg Monroe. We need like a
Yeah,
rebounder.
Greg, where you at?
Moose.
You staying in shape, dude?
If not, I don't care. Come on in.
But man, that second quarter, we started to claw back. Ant had a big second quarter, and then Nikhil and Mike, like guys that we've been noticed, like been waiting for them to hit some shots. They've kind of gone cold in the last probably couple of weeks. Maybe struggling a little coming back from the All-Star
Specifically,
break.
Mike.
Yeah, he just looked like he was like, looking his age at this point. And he hit his signature toe on the line deep too. But he was cooking. I think he hit like maybe 6 or 7 straight shots. And Nikhil went what, not 8 for 9 or 9 for 10.
9 for 10. Yeah.
And like it was just all the misses fine. Like they were so due, right? Because that game against the Pacers, it was only close because we'd missed every fucking shot in the third quarter, right? So like
Yeah.
we've had,
Yeah.
and same with Cleveland. Like there's been these stretches where we just don't make any shots, and until we clawed back, and then I mean we just stormed past these Clippers. James Harden he threw like a couple into the seats, these passes, and you're like, what in the fuck is going on here? And we definitely
the Wolves?
picked up the defense. You could definitely see the intensity ramped up. But overall, I was like, man, you know what? Like without Carl, Ant's just gonna have to fucking shoot better because he came out and he only went 2 for 10 from 3. But like it just goes for everybody, right? And Jaden was the guy last night, didn't make a shot. He at least started really digging in on defense in the second half, but like guys got to make fucking shots, right? Because all we say is for Ant, like if they're gonna collapse on you, you got to be a playmaker. And it's like, well, then you guys got to make fucking wide open shots. Like it's not a complex game. And it took them a little longer last night, and then all of a sudden they all went in. I think we made like 15 straight field goals or something like that, or maybe we had 15
Damn.
straight possessions scoring. And the Clippers just folded like a fucking lawn chair, man. Like you can see, like without Kawhi, I mean, they're not any sort of concern at all. And in the beginning, I was kind of worried too. I'm like, hey, here's the pattern. We're 0-2 when they don't have Russ, right, helping us out.
Oh, right.
But we just thumped them after that, and really needed it too. The way things have been going without Carl. On a road trip, the Clippers, it gave us a nice little separation between 3 and 4 at least.
Mhm.
And then
only
OKC
half
lost
game back.
last night too. So
Yep.
just got to keep trying to get through it, and everybody get more acclimated without Carl. And one of the interesting things was, aside from Ant being late to start the third quarter again, which I never really did. They said it wasn't an injury thing, so I don't know. I will say, like in his defense, like how many ankles has he sprained, and like injuries is he getting treatment or something like that's just taking so long at half? Like maybe
He's just
that's the
taking a shit.
excuse. That's what Brian Anderson accused him of, being a victim of Taco Tuesday on the broadcast, which is clowning. But so Nikhil starts the half, and then you're like, they reported it on X. Somebody reported that he was starting that for Kyle, and you're like, thank God, because the Kyle Rudy tandem is just clogging our toilet. Like there is no space on offense at all. And once Ant came back with like 30 seconds into the third quarter, it was Kyle that went out. So Nikhil stayed in. So we went with like a pretty small lineup. And I don't know if that's because the Clippers typically play pretty small as well. Or are they thinking are they starting to notice like, okay, this spacing without Carl, the Kyle Rudy thing is killing us. So is Nas going to start? Maybe it's a matchup thing, or maybe Nikhil. And Kyle did turn it around. He did start to play well later in the game. But you could just see where like Ant's got nowhere to fucking go in that first half, especially
And no one to kick it to.
Right, exactly.
Because Kyle and Jaden aren't hitting any threes, and Mike hadn't been hitting any shots. So it's like, shit, what do you do?
Right.
And then maybe that's why we watched such a clunky, awful first quarter. It's just there's nowhere to go with this ball.
Yeah. 100%. And that's just something I'm keeping an eye on here for the lineup. Although let's say, because we got 2 games against Utah, like whatever. But then Denver, we saw last year, we mentioned it last week, Kyle matching up with Jokic, and then you have Rudy as the roamer. And I think they'd like to keep Nas in that sixth man, like, come in and just cook style role.
Yep.
But the spacing's a definite problem. And
Nikhil needs to play more. I think we've been saying it for
yeah,
a while now. Just I don't care who he needs to play for. I don't care if he need to go small, whatever. He needs to be on the court more.
agreed.
End
And
of story.
there's 2 guys that he would replace. It would either be Mike, if Mike is having an issue like with a matchup on defense, right? Like what was the game? I feel like he was getting cooked a little bit. I think the Lakers, or no, it was they were doing it a little bit, but the Kings, that Kings game.
Kings game. Yep.
Yeah, Davion Mitchell was like hunting him out, and Davion Mitchell doesn't score ever. So you could bring in Nikhil, and then you got Nikhil, Jaden, and Ant on the perimeter. Like that's pretty nasty. And then everybody's down on Jaden right now, and they're like, should Nikhil start over Jaden? And I'm like, no, he should not. Should he close over him in certain cases?
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I much prefer
in certain cases because
right.
defensive purposes. I mean, you can always play the game where you're subbing in and out, offense, defense, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you're in a close lockup game, you have to have Jaden on the floor for defense.
Well,
And
If he's not in foul trouble.
and by now, and Finch should see this as well, because we all can. You know when it's not a Jaden night. You know what I mean? Like, and by the fourth quarter, you damn sure know that. So get his ass on the bench if he's going to be a moron. And yeah, you want to sub him in for certain possessions on defense, like that's fine. But when it comes to who I want taking a big shot, it's not Jaden, like ever.
right.
He's hit a
Hell
few,
no.
good, to his credit, like good for him. But like
Much better shooters on the team.
give me Nikhil, man. Like if that's my choice, like I'd rather have Nikhil out there. And it was just great. We love Nikhil. We pretty much since he got thrown into that Denver series, or even I guess he was guarding SGA in the play.
Right.
The play-in. The guy just plays his ass off, and he's got a nice finishing package at the rim too, man. Like he's always like he's another guy who just converts these layups, like compared to other guys. I feel like so there's more to his game, and he's starting to show it. And he was just on fire last night, and it wasn't like he was hunting out, hey, I'm on a heater, let me do a heat check. Like it was all within the offense, and same with Mike. And they were, finally cashing in all the fucking threes we've been waiting for him to hit. So big win. What are we, half game out of first right now? I mean, first it's not crazy to think we could, get first, right? Because we lost that Lakers game.
Sure.
You throw aside, we didn't have Carl or Rudy or Kyle, right? 3 of our like 4 front court guys, really. And then Anthony Davis just feasted on us, right? But Friday's the game where let's unpack this thing, because if we're gonna be the leaders in the war against the Sirs, we're gonna talk about what Scott Foster did to us, man. That was rigged, dude. Like, and I don't think he's like on the take. Rudy gets fined 100K for making the money gesture.
Insane, right? Isn't that like
yeah.
over 50% more than any other player has been fined for criticizing officials?
Number 2, Anthony Edwards this year, $40,000.
Right.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
I love that we are.
Oh, I love it.
The pioneers against this unjust officiating.
War on the Sirs.
I don't think Foster's on the take, but there's too much fucking like your feelings involved with the way these calls are made, right? Like if you feel like a player shows you up, oh, I'm going to give him a tech. Like, no, man, that's not your job to be pissy out here. Just call the game, right? Because that's the second time in 2024 we lost that one to the Bulls. Like some Sir got all fucking upset with what Kyle said from the bench, and the Bulls hit a free throw and force overtime and beat us. Same shit with the Cavs. And what did the Cavs shoot? Like 19 free throws in the third quarter. I mean, it was just a fucking
Jared Allen.
atrocity of
Jared Allen averages like 3.6 free throw attempts per game in his career, and he had like 21 or 22 against us.
It was
It's like,
unreal.
give me a fucking break. He's not exactly an offensive machine who's going in and getting foul calls. Like, yeah, that was
That was as bad as I've seen all year. That was the
Ever,
worst of
yeah.
the year for sure.
Yes.
And we knew right away it was Scott Foster and two Madams, and we're like, buckle up. And the first half, it was like, okay, normal basketball game. And then the thing that pisses us off the most, they just go in and adjust the settings and they call a completely fucking different game in the second half, which is, that's should be the easiest part of your job, man. Like, why are
Right.
you inserting yourself into all these calls? And of course, the bullshit last 2-minute report had like one error on like George Niang for like a block where he like hip checked Jade into the ground. Guess what? No call.
Mhm.
And there was just a ton of calls that we didn't
Litany,
get,
yeah.
and you breathed on them, and Jared Allen was going to the free throw line. So that as the second game without Carl, we should have still won it, and it's hard to really even put any sort of like merit into that result. I mean, it was a complete rig job from the NBA,
Yeah.
and I don't think they're getting paid to do it, but like for whatever reason, they've signaled us out. And yeah, we complain a lot, but the complaining wasn't first. You guys being shitty at your fucking job causes the complaining. And Ant said some things after the Laker game again too, because Anthony Davis shot more free throws than our entire team, which that's the Lakers for you, right? And they want to say like, well, we just play without fouling. As I watched the entire game, them getting away with fucking murder. And
Yeah.
it's
There was
just it's a fake bullshit argument from Laker fans.
There was the LeBron hacking Luca Garza video. I'm sure you guys saw
Oh yeah.
where Luca went up for a like a little hook shot, little baby hook, and it was complete slap across, like so obvious.
Even the
that
Lakers
even
like kind of
he was
stopped
like-
playing for like
Right.
just a little second, and everybody's
It's
like,
just
"Are you
like, what
fucking?"
are
You
we-
could hear it on the
You can hear the
broadcast.
broadcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
you can
I mean,
slap.
And,
What are we
and that
doing,
Cavs
sirs?
game, like we complain about the officials about as much as you could want in your life. But like when you hear the players, the coaches, all the reporters, everybody talking about how bad the officiating was that night, everybody on X, there's usually that one classic person that's like, oh no, let's not blame the officials. That person didn't even show up to that meeting.
No,
That was as bad as I've ever seen
and you
in a
know what
half of
else?
basketball.
You know what else I'm seeing too, across other pods and stuff like that. Now, guess what everybody's starting to say is like, the NBA might have a crisis on their hands here. Fuck,
What happened?
I don't know. My thing's fucking up again.
He's
Okay, so-
back.
We back. The Sirs might have or they're saying on these pods like, what a crisis this is becoming. Well, guess where we've been saying that, man. Pretty much the entire existence of this pod,
We're
right?
at ground zero.
I know. So it's because it's obvious. It's very obvious the bias that goes into it, and we pay a price for not flopping. And it's like they don't know how to officiate Ant because he like plays physical or something like and doesn't embellish.
Like
And-
Zion plays physical.
That should be the opposite, right? Like, or are they thinking if we did call all the fouls for him, he would shoot 25 free throws a game? And then you're like, okay, well, we can't have that.
And he would average 40 points a game.
Right. Because he's always getting hit. And he does need to shut up with the complaining. Like, that is part of it, especially at the
Getting
end of
up on
at the
those
end of
technicals.
games, like Rudy and Kyle, like your supposed veterans, getting the technicals to essentially cost you the game. You could have won them in overtime or whatever, but and even the foul that Rudy got called for before he got that tech, Scott Foster comes in from the fucking rafters and makes the call. Like, nobody under the basket saw that because it was a pretty phantom. It was just a couple of big boys trying to get position. And sure enough, right, Rudy, we can't do what the other team can do. So that just pissed me off. That was the first real. I mean, they're all bad. Right? I mean, we know that, but that was like the first one that was like, okay, this was like, it wasn't a play or two at the end that it was like this is an entire half where they hijacked this game specifically for Cleveland,
And
and
for what reason is that?
that's
He-
that's the thing that's the most confusing. Why did we get dubbed like as this whipping boy franchise that never gets any calls, but the Thunder get it, or the Cavs, or whoever the hell it is? I mean, say what you want, but I can understand why you want the Lakers, okay? Like, as bullshit as it is, I understand why you're doing that for them. You know what I mean? But like OKC, why are we pushing them? I don't get that.
Right.
Wouldn't you want Anthony like this? We see all this shit about face of the league, blah blah blah, and meanwhile the Sirs are like not so fast. We're not going to allow this to happen.
We got something to say about that.
So it's just
This is our league.
It's a crock of just horse shit. I don't know what else to say other than supposedly it gets more physical in the playoffs, and you're allowed to play more physical for 15 of the 16 teams. Guess which one won't be allowed to? So get ready for that. But had to take our swings at Foster, and credit to me, I didn't get suspended on X throughout that whole game. So
Hashtag
is
proud.
hey,
yeah.
hung in there.
That is so big of you. It's unbelievable.
You just got to not tag their account, and then you can threaten their lives. It's a little easier. All right, golf. The Players. Big week. Best field in golf. It used to be. Now we've lost some guys to live. I guess big story coming in. Scheffler, pretty dominant. Finally figured out how to putt. Got the mallet in the bag at the Arnold Palmer. And nobody's ever repeated as play as champ. Scotty's defending from last year. So is it Scotty or no Scotty? I'm not playing him at all. So he's got a great chance.
Most expensive guy. You never do.
Well,
That's true.
especially
That's
in this
true. You
case
don't-
too, like 12-8, man. Like
I played him. You can fit him.
that, yeah. Well, the $5,000 guys for sure, but 12-8's about as high as I've never seen a 13. I don't think
I don't think so.
in PGA.
Yeah, 12. You're right. I think you're right. I don't know that I've ever seen above like 12.5, maybe
Once in a-
12.3.
Once in a while, you'll see like some of those 12s if it's like, hey, Scotty Scheffler's playing the Byron Nelson. And
3M.
yeah, well, I didn't want to throw shade on him, but too late now.
I got you.
So I feel like that's the first real kind of like decision to make. Scheffler or not. Like you said, like they've changed pricing where they're going down into the fives, and there's legit dudes down there, so you can fit them in for sure. I'm just like, you know what? If everyone's gonna play him, the Players is like the weirdest, highest variance. Like you look at everyone's course history, it's like 19th, 5th, miscut, 11th, miscut. You know, like it's all over the place. You can do have a great week, or it could be as simple as like, hey, I misclubbed on 17 and made a fucking 6, and now I'm cut. You know, it's like just
This
one
is
little
the
thing.
One tournament where course history means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
not taking any of that into my please research this
No.
week at all.
I didn't either. And the other thing is any style can win. Although since they've moved it to March, because it used to be in May.
Yep.
It was like Mother's Day weekend previously. The winners have been like Rory, JT,
Cam Smith,
Cam, and Scotty, right? So it's like it's big dogs, right? That have won it since they've moved it up a little bit in the calendar. So having said all that, who are you guys leaning towards this week? Because I just went with like a lazy, who is low owned. And it's not even like, hey, I like these guys as picks. I'm kind of just like, let me just go weird as hell. Because
Trying to avoid chalk.
I usually do so bad at this event anyway. So it's like, just try some weird shit. I'm probably not going to be
Yeah.
watching it on Saturday anyway, so whatever.
Well, I
Um,
texted you guys before when I did all my lineups, and I said I got like 34 players in 9 lineups, which seems like a lot. And then I have 18 of those 34 are just they're in one lineup, or it's just a one-off. I don't have them in more than one. And I think that that might be the strategy I might just stick with for this tournament going forward, because like you said, it's so volatile and it's just you never know. So
so
you might
wait,
as well
say
just take a bunch of dudes.
so you have 16 players
I've
across
s-
how many lineups?
I have
What
16 9 lineups.
and
So
then 18 kind of just round out
yeah.
whatever.
And
Yeah,
there's a
okay.
bunch, yeah, and there's a bunch from high price to low price there,
And then you just hope like it just matches up
yeah.
and you get the
It's
right
well,
combination, which is kind of
you
how
can
every week is in a way, but
sure, and but like you can take course history into consideration on a lot of courses, right? But like Jake said, this one it's just don't even look at it. Like who cares?
It means
mm.
nothing.
Yep, it means nothing.
The one
Jake, what
cool
do you
thing on
got?
this one is, I haven't really decided yet. I'm just gonna make my lineups after this.
I was gonna
But
say
I haven't seen
tournament
myself
does
attached
start
to.
tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna be doing it after the pod here. One guy I've been looking at is Russell Henley's for some reason. I don't know why, but he's for some reason popping on all my stuff. But one cool thing I
Mhm.
did see was like the wave stacks for the players, the AM/PM. I think the last out of the last 15 years, like 13 of the winners have came from playing AM/PM, and only 2 winners have come from
Mm.
the PM/AM stack, which is weird. Who take that for what you will, but I think that's just kind of a weird stat out there, which means no Scotty because I think he's PM/AM. So
Yeah, it's
Was PM
interesting.
AM? I feel like PM AM won a couple years ago when it was just that, or was
when
that
it went to
last year?
Monday, that was
But
2 years ago when
where it
Cam
was just
Smith
yeah,
won.
because Brooks was playing too, where it was just like a clown show on 17, which I've just loved. I thought that was
That
so
yeah,
funny.
I enjoyed that, but
Um,
that flipped though because they delayed it. So
yeah,
like
it was right,
so
right.
whatever weather, and I think it reversed because everybody was looking at whatever split it was, thinking like the AM or maybe it was the PM. They're like they're gonna get destroyed by weather, and it
Yeah,
flipped
it ended up
because they didn't have
double
to
flipped.
play.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So that's the hard needle to thread. This week I think it's just pretty mild weather-wise, but even with nothing really significant from a weather standpoint, you just never know. Like you'll just see like these splits of like the AM had a stroke and a half better. Like why was that? Just a little softer, or like maybe the wind
Softer in the morning,
maybe
maybe.
the wind
Yep.
picked up for an hour and a half, and that impacted it enough that it skewed the numbers.
Yep.
Um, that's why, like, if you do play a bunch of lineups, um, usually I'll do this for majors where I'll do like 20 plus lineups or 30. I'll have like a couple of waves for each side just in case,
You
and
never know. Yep.
I'll still fuck it up.
It doesn't matter
Um,
anyway.
but yeah, Masters is tough because they don't really. I mean, you can do waves, but they just kind of go straight through.
Yeah, there's
Um,
no two halves.
so it's a little tougher, but
Hmm.
certainly applicable for this tournament. But Henley, yeah, that's interesting. He's been Mr. Top 20. He's pretty steady. What was his price? I didn't have him at any, so you're in good shape.
8,600.
Ooh, that's
8600 is good.
that's
He's been playing well.
yeah, he has.
I know
Um,
you are either you guys playing Lowry?
fuck no.
Yeah, I'll play a little bit.
So, dude,
It's been hot in
I
Florida.
saw well, hey, and I saw his price go up. And usually when a guy's price goes up because they're playing well, they're they're less likely to be chalky. I feel like people are like, oh, well, his price just went up too much. I'm not going to play him. And
Yeah,
I've been
he's
taking the opposite approach on that and playing those guys.
Yeah, I mean he's playing well for sure.
Yeah. He
Um,
says, fuck no.
I'm done with him, man. Fuck that dude. And I don't know if you guys seen all the Full Swing episodes yet?
I haven't,
almost. I think I have
I have
one or two
not.
left.
So
I'm at the Ryder
they're
Cup stuff.
yeah, they're the last like three are Ryder Cup, which
Okay, I've seen two then, so
or
maybe I just have one left.
or well, the last two, and then the one before that is like the end of the season, like who's gonna make the team kind of. So there's a big Ryder Cup focus, but anyway, He was there's that dust up on the green, remember, with like Cantlay's caddy and like
Mhm.
Rory, and then that kind of spilled over into the parking lot later on. Like Lowry was like a big instigator in that. And then he comes out and
Oh,
he's like, "Hey man, I was at Whistling Straits, all right? I was at Whistling Straits." We're like, "Good for you, man. We fucking know. Go sit the fuck down, okay? What's your point?" Like,
Yeah.
and I think his point is like, you guys yelled it at us. We're like, it wasn't anything to do with the crowd, you know? So that hearing that bullshit out of him, and he's just fucked me over so many times. But like, if you wanted to play him, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, that's stupid."
right, right.
It's just like I just can't do it anymore. So I'm playing a bunch of dumb Jason Day, who I'll probably wake
No.
up. I'll wake up tomorrow and his back will have flared up for the first time in 2 years, and I'll just roll right back over and go to bed and take the day
That's
off.
fine. Yep.
Um, so yeah, I guess Scotty at the top. You guys getting into any Rory? I feel like he's kind of getting overlooked a little bit.
I'll probably play
No.
a couple.
Probably
Not too much though.
for good reason.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
a
not
hard
playing
guy to
anymore.
really trust. Like you can go win over in the DP World Tour in Dubai or whatever and like get your Canadian Open and maybe a Wells Fargo. It's been 10 years since this dude has won a major.
I
Like,
know.
what's-
He's tough for the police research too, because you could have everything pointing to him, course history, his stats, bomber course, something like that, and he could miss the cut. There'll be some short track that
Right.
he'll play the week after, and he'll win by 10 strokes for no reason at all.
Yeah. He's always that close from like just blowing the field away because we know for sure. I mean, he's leading strokes gained off the tee every week. And then it's like, can you just fucking do anything else with your game? Can you hit a wedge, please?
Can you make a 5-foot putt?
And on
Odds are,
you know
why
that
not?
that back nine that he had on Saturday, you're always like, okay, is he finding it? And then
Here we go.
76 the next day. You're like,
And then
nope.
yeah, he was awful on Sunday.
He was brutal. So Pebble Beach 66th, Genesis 24th, Cognizant 21st, Arnold Palmer 21st. And I feel like I don't know if he's admitted this 100%, but I feel like I've, been able to piece together some of his quotes of like he's gearing up for the Masters. Like I don't think he gives a shit about winning the Players. Like if somehow he's just playing so great, like I'm sure he's not going to be like, "Oh, I don't want to win." But it's all just a tune up. And I feel like he's trying that, like to be like, none of these matter. These are all scrimmages for the, the big event in April or
Working
whatever.
through like slight tweaks every weekend instead of like going a full 100% his swing. He's got like little things, little hitches he's trying to fix and prepare. Going for the Masters.
Or is he like, I don't want to waste good form leading up or something? I don't know. Like, it's not like you can just pick and choose.
And then he'll go finish 48th at the Masters. You'll be like, oh, well, good thing you wasted your time on all these other tournaments then.
Yeah, missed the cut last year. So congrats to me for picking him.
Good job.
I feel like a lot of people are liking Zalatoris. Hard to disagree with that. Hideki, I feel like people are enjoying as well. And then JT, and then like, our guys Xander and Cantlay getting overlooked.
Our boys.
Who could see that coming? I'm playing a good amount of Victor because I don't think anyone's going to, and he hasn't been in the best form. But like, that guy could just pop up and boat race the field.
Mm-hmm.
Wyndham Clark playing pretty good ball.
One of the sites I have for ownership projection, they have Scotty at 30%, and then it's Siwoo, Morikawa, Hovland, Henley are the top 5.
Oh, so they are playing Hovland. Might have to go back to the drawing board.
Restart all the lineups right now.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
100% Scotty all of a sudden.
Say
why
those
not?
other ones again. So and Morikawa
Said
as well.
Morikawa, yeah.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Morikawa, Hovland, Henley, then it's Rory, X, Zalatoris, Aberg, or Bear, whatever you want to call him.
This should be a course for Morikawa where you have to be accurate, but I think we've played that card in the past, and
I had him last
He just-
year. Every
Mayo
almost
bets
every
him every
team.
year at the Players, and he's like, I don't know why I do this anymore.
He
it
was
never
He
works.
was like
I'm
8 under
playing
after
too.
the first
I
round.
never do.
He was 8
Yeah,
under, I
that's
think, last
right.
year, and then like finished the tournament like 4 under.
Yeah, and I don't know if it
Fuck,
was a
dude.
tournament before or after, but right around the same time there was a tournament where was it the US Open where Xander shot like 8 under as well the first round and then didn't do anything. We're like, yeah, these guys,
Yeah,
they're the same. They're all the same.
yeah. Just cash and checks. Yeah, I'm back on Ludwig again just because I have to be. Yeah, it keeps fucking me over every week, so I'm just gonna go bankrupt chasing his form
Till he
around.
gets one.
Sounds like
Yeah.
your style.
Oh my God, I hate everything. So that's interesting with the ownership. I'll have to reassess a couple things. Liking me some JT Poston. That I'm sure that'll go great. um, but we'll have to check in. We'll see if anybody can make some dough next week. But we're getting to the end of the time slot, fellas. It's been real. Go Wolves. Let's see what these Vikes do with the trades and the free agent. Let Quezzy cook. It's been real. Peace.